Trevor Lawrence testing positive for the coronavirus. He's going to be out for tomorrow's game against Boston College. We'll get into all the details about next Saturday's gigantic game against Notre Dame, which would be a top 5 showdown, and exactly what his availability would be. It is indeed complicated because much like many coronavirus-related issues, it's very vague, it's very nebulous, and we're learning new things all the time. So let's just talk about the headline first, fellas, that the biggest star in the sport has tested positive. Then we'll get into all the nitty-gritty, but it is a gigantic headline this Friday morning.
Well, first of all, you start off by saying get healthy.
No doubt.
That's number one.
Experiencing mild symptoms, which is something we should certainly add. A lot of kids his age, asymptomatic, but he is experiencing some symptoms.
So you start there, and then you say, okay, this has been something that we continue to talk about since we started this show, about the COVID situation, college football, college sports in general. What would happen when kids start to actually contract the virus and become positive? What happens to them? Their health, who's monitoring the risk versus the reward? All of those sort of things factor into this. Trevor Lawrence was one of a handful of collegiate athletes that wanted to continue to play college football because he felt it was in the best interest of not only himself and his university, but just as a whole. So you certainly know the talented guy in terms of football, what that means to a program, what it means to the conference and college football as a whole. It is another one. I mean, he's not going to be the only one, right? I mean, you just hope that as they continue to test their program, that there's not a jarring amount of players on their team or people on their campus or surrounding areas around him as they do the contact tracing that continue to come up positive like Trevor.
So, same like you, Key. First and foremost to Trevor Lawrence. Him and I have connected multiple times. I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself. Get healthy soon. And then secondly, the next major question I have, Zubin.
Yes.
When does the 10-day clock start? When does it start? Because that's a critical question because it starts when his symptoms subside, correct?
Correct.
So depending upon when that is will determine whether he comes back. Clemson cannot lose to Boston College. If Clemson loses to Boston College and then they lose to Notre Dame without Trevor Lawrence, I don't think they're in the college football playoffs. If they beat Boston College and then lose to Notre Dame without Trevor Lawrence and then he comes back, I think they will make the playoffs.
Let's run through the timetable, and you're right. If they were to lose to Clemson and Boston College in a span of 8 days, that would be 2 losses. Granted, that could be 2, if not 1 loss without Trevor Lawrence. No 2-loss team has made the playoff in the history of the playoffs since it began in 2014. Let's just start at the beginning, give you a quick timeline of how it goes. According to various media reports, Clemson is tested 3 times a week, as you would expect for a big money team that can afford to do that. Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Remember, sometimes coronavirus tests could be $100 a pop, depending on how they're doing the tests. They have the ability to do it. According to Clemson Athletic Director Dan Radakevich, Trevor Lawrence tested negative on Sunday. Next test would come Wednesday. And according to various reports, including ESPN, CBS, USA Today, all the reputable outlets, that is the day that Trevor Lawrence tested positive. To Jay's point, the clock begins because in the ACC, unlike other leagues, we've talked about this with the Big Ten, where the kids miss 21 days or 3 weeks, a little more truncated in the ACC. It's essentially isolating for 10 days after the test, and you have to be all right before you return to practice, assuming you've got no symptoms. However, we already know Trevor Lawrence has symptoms. So let's put the clock at Wednesday. Simply put, from the day of the positive test / symptoms coming to the surface. If you put it on Wednesday, you go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday would be 10 days. They play Notre Dame on Saturday, November 7th. Just putting that out there as a contingency key.
What about practice, though?
He would, in that scenario,
practice. No practice.
He would play the game without practice.
So the first time he could actually physically touch the field would be on a Friday, leading into that Saturday 24 hours.
Actually, Saturday, right? Because Friday would be the 10th day.
Friday would be the 10th. He could play the game without practice.
The first time he would actually touch the field would be Saturday against Notre Dame.
The reason I said Friday is because of walkthrough. So he can't touch the field at all till Saturday, which is the actual game. He can't go through Friday's walkthrough.
If we are presuming that it was Wednesday. We're going under that scenario right now. Also, he would need to undergo and pass an EKG and an echocardiogram. Those are both heart tests. Those need to be cleared as well. Myocarditis is a heart issue that has been caused by the coronavirus and has affected young people. It's not just something for elderly people. So he would have to go through that 10-day period.
Understood.
Let's presume it starts on the Wednesday because that's when people believe
I
the
heard
test
that
happened.
he
and then
first went
2
into
tests.
isolation on Thursday. Thursday was his first day of isolation. So wouldn't Thursday be the first day of the 10-day quarantine?
It would, but they can also go back and say, according to protocols in the ACC, you can start the clock from the day of the positive test / symptoms arising. So
College
you could
football
start
semantics.
the clock on Wednesday. But that's very important because you're talking about one day making all of the difference. But if we go by the Wednesday timeline that ESPN and other reputable media reports have put out there, it could be 10 days on Friday. But again, he would have to pass a couple of heart tests as well, including an EKG and an echocardiogram. I will mention if they do have to go with their backup, DJ Uiagalelei is their backup.
Very
DJU.
careful.
DJU.
Very careful trying to get that out, huh?
Uiagalelei. If you're wondering, and this is a small thing that nobody really cares about in the moment because we're worried about Trevor Lawrence, because Clemson has not played in any game that has been competitive this season, the kid has played in 5 of the 6 games.
Yeah.
He's 12 for 19. He's had a couple of scores. He's understood what it's like to play big-time college football. And as you may imagine, and Key can give us more details on this, absolute stud, number 3, pro pocket passer, USA Today Player of the Year, 5-star recruit, and the heir apparent to Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, that's coming a little quicker than we thought with regards to short term, but he's going to be Lawrence's replacement when he leaves for the NFL. So that is who they would have instead. Clemson, a 31-point favorite over Boston College, though that game may be taken off the board.